When it comes to video games, the term remaster can mean a lot of things depending on who is saying it. Sometimes a simple port job is called a remaster, and sometimes what may arguably count as a remake is called a remaster. Remakes can cross over into reboot, reimaginings can be called remakes, and sometimes Activision waltzes on in and calls the Crash and Spyro remakes a remaster plus. What? On top of the usage and definitions being murkier and murkier, the level of quality between different remasters is so varying. Saints Row 4's remaster at the start of this console generation was more akin to a way to sell the game again. Meanwhile, Saints Row the Third's very recent remaster has a huge graphical overhaul. So whenever a remaster gets announced, you kinda have to raise an eyebrow and wait for more details on what kind of a remaster it is, and how good it'll actually turn out. On top of it all, there's just a lot of remasters. Even games you forgot existed like Legend of K and Voodoo Vince got a remaster while you blinked. Personally, I love a good, definitive remaster of a game though. Whether it be to make the game perform better, look better, or to include new bonus materials, there's just something feel-good about a company being able to lovingly restore a beloved game and polish it up to show to the world all over again. So I wanted to take some time today to talk about a few great remasters that you may have forgotten came out or even missed entirely. These are varying kinds of remasters, some more substantial than others, but all are interesting for one reason or another in my opinion. So let's get to it. The first one I'd like to talk about is Grim Fandango Remastered. Grim Fandango originally came out at the tail end of the PC point-and-click boom in late 1998. So accordingly, it's more of a story-based affair where you find specific objects in the environment to bypass specific roadblocks to advance the narrative. This does lead to the leaps in logic that the genre is notorious for, such as getting a work order signed by leaving your place of work, climbing up a dangling rope made of parade flags, sneaking into your boss's office, and changing his auto-response voicemail system to ask the receptionist to just sign the work order herself, then going all the way back to the receptionist yourself to get it signed to advance the story. Yeah, just in my opinion, as an easily distracted person, this one is best played with a guide to just let you see the story. But it's such a good story. You play as Manny Calavera, an insurance agent trying to get his ticket to the afterlife. But his boss and co-worker never pass him any of the good clients, so he's perpetually stuck at his literal dead-end job. The setting and premises are fascinating, the character work and performances are fantastic, especially for 1998, and overall it's one of the most memorable games I've ever experienced. This remaster makes it accessible on modern consoles and PCs, and touches up a lot of the stuff around the edges to keep it in step with its original look, but looking better. The musical score was re-recorded with a live orchestra, a couple hours of developer commentary was recorded, and you can view the game's concept art. In its biggest saving grace, they updated the controls so Manny no longer plays like a Resident Evil game, though there is a trophy for keeping the tank controls, so guess who played the entire game that way? Yeah, guilty. While Grim Fandango Remastered marks the definitive experience of an available game, other remasters are valuable for letting certain territories finally get access to a game, period. Metal Wolf Chaos XD brings what was originally a Japan-exclusive Xbox game from the developers of Dark Souls back for the rest of us to finally experience. And it is absolutely something that demands to be experienced.
Welcome to the White House.
You see, they call it Metal Wolf Chaos XD because XD is the face you make while playing this game. You play as the President of the United States in a mech suit who is determined to take back his country from a rebellion led by the Vice President. The game literally starts with you exiting the White House and starting battle on the White House's lawn. It's just incredible. And for some reason, the game was dubbed and localized entirely in English back then, so it has a fittingly 2004 video game cheese that makes it consistently hilarious for all the right reasons.
I'll be back.
I can't do this game justice, it really just needs to be experienced. As hilariously endearing as the characters and scenario are, it's still a 2004 mech game, so it controls kinda weirdly with odd mission structures and requirements, so It's good to keep that in mind going in, but it's still mindless fun in the right ways. There's just a bit of a grounding effect when you get back to playing it after a hilarious cutscene. This release of the game brings it to native 16:9 widescreen, offers 4K resolution, on PC at least, not sure about consoles, and updates the saving and loading structure to something more sensible alongside touching up the controls a bit. There was a physical edition released, but it was only at GameStop here in the States. No clue if it's tough to find here or elsewhere, but yeah, the quickest and easiest reference point I can make for this game is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, so if you enjoyed that game's tone, you'll feel right at home here. It's somehow both a product of its time and weirdly relevant today.
By the end of the first quarter of the 21st century, freedom was dead in America.
Okay, yeah, we're moving on before this starts getting too real. Speaking of Metal Gear Rising, while Platinum Games may be more known lately for things like it and Nier Automata, earlier this year a 10th anniversary double pack remaster of two of their most iconic games was released for PS4 and Xbox One. For full disclosure, Sega and Evolve were kind enough to send this goodie box out to a complete no one like me. Though I already purchased both of the games when they originally came out and when they were released again on PC, so rest assured, I already speak from a place of love on them, even with that aside. This stuff wasn't sold to the public, so I'll just show the extras it came with. It came with a copy of the game, of course, as well as these two prints with new art created for both games. The style on them is fantastic and does both games justice. I've had trouble finding frames for them, but when I can, these bad boys are going up. They also send along a t-shirt, which I haven't checked out yet. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this shirt. Oh my god, what?! The remasters are pretty solid. Bayonetta is the most commonly known game from this 2-pack, but it's the one that has less fruits to show for the effort put in. The original game already ran at a high, if not inconsistent frame rate, so most of the appeal for that is to be able to play it on a modern console. And hey, Bayonetta is still one of the best character action games ever made, so that's a pretty good draw in itself. You won't get stuff like any of the Nintendo costumes here, of course, but all the Sega references are still intact. Indeed, the sleeper draw to this package is Vanquish, finally running at the 60 frames per second we could only dream of back on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. The boosted frame rate helps the awe and spectacle of the game's over-the-top gameplay and situations to such a degree that it's hard to imagine ever going back. Vanquish can be played like a standard third-person cover shooter, but the true appeal is mastering the game's handful of hours in its runtime and finding new and risky ways to dominate the battlefield with your weird knee rocket exosuit. Also, its story is basically about Hillary Clinton going to space war with Russia. I really didn't mean to get politics in this video, but for a game from 2010, again, scary look at what could have been here. On top of it all, if the high-octane action and bullet time mechanics weren't enough to sell you, while in cover there's a button to light up a cigarette, aim it, and then throw it to distract enemy robots while you get in shots on them. Vanquish is an incredible game. So while I was given this swag to show off the console version, the true king big boy releases of these games were on PC, where you can run at an unlocked frame rate and even higher resolutions if your system is strong enough to handle it. The PC releases are absolutely the definitive top tier ways to experience these games. But if you're a simple boy like me and you just like to put the disc in the box and hit the controller button some like a monkey, hunt down this weirdly nice and embossed steelbook and treat yourself. Speaking of machines, I tend to prefer getting my remasters on PS4 or occasionally on PC, but I wanted to bring a few Switch recommendations, and I can guarantee at least one of them you haven't heard of. First up is the Gunman Clive HD Collection. You might remember Gunman Clive from its appearances on iOS, Android, and 3DS back in 2012, and its sequel from early 2015. While this HD collection actually came out on Wii U later that year, and on PS4 at the end of May of this year, which I only found out just now while making this video, I think it makes the most sense on the Switch since it's a pick-up and play style of game. If you're unaware, Gunman Clive is essentially a classic Western-themed Mega Man, with the year even being set in 18XX as an homage to Mega Man's 20XX. The jumps are a little floaty, but the core basic gameplay is satisfying enough, especially since each level only takes a couple of minutes or so at the most to complete. The visual style is appealing too, especially in HD, and you can also go through the game as 3 other characters to help give more length to the experience. But really, the game's biggest selling point is in its price. On Switch it's $4 and $5 on PS4. For that price alone, it's worth the impulse buy to add to your collection. It's not the most amazing game you'll play, but it's good to just get in a solidly charming game now and then. And the other Switch game I want to shout out is one I actually got a code for last year, but I realized after I accepted it that it was a handheld-only Switch game, meaning that I couldn't get footage in a way I was happy with. Anthill on Switch is a re-release of one of the earliest games from Image & Form, the developers of the SteamWorld series, which are games I enjoy quite a lot. It's a strange, real-time strategy sort of game where you draw upon different types of ants to bring resources back to your anthill, while fending off predatory insects. I think the Golden Bolt called me a predatory insect once, actually. It's definitely an interesting game, not a lot of people really talk about it, so I wanted to mention it here since the best part of videos like these are finding out about weird games you didn't know existed. Give it a shot if you need something new and kind of odd on your Switch. Going back to games I played on PS4, did you know a remaster of Lumines came out? I got the limited PS4 copy, but I imagine Switch is absolutely the way to go on this one, but I might be getting ahead of myself. Lumines was a PSP puzzle game conceived by Tetsuya Mizuguchi, the man who has helped create instant classics such as Tetris Effect, Sega Rally Championship, and Space Channel 5. The man makes incredible games, and Lumines is no exception. Born out of a desire to make a Tetris game, but not being able to secure the licenses, Lumines is a more horizontally focused block-following puzzle game with a heavy emphasis on audio design. Much like some of his prior efforts, Lumines incorporates a lot of musically geared sound effects and samples to accompany each move you make in the game, whether it be moving left or right one space, holding down and zipping across the screen, or even as you drop blocks. Everything works in perfect concert together alongside a visual style that's busy, but not distracting, to help make it an engrossing game. The kind you pick up to play a few stages, and before you know it, an hour has passed and you feel enlightened. It's certainly one of the most engaging puzzle games, as easy to pick up as it is difficult to master. From an effort set out to make a new Tetris, Mizuguchi accidentally made something almost as good. It makes complete sense that this is part of the foundation drawn from for Tetris Effect, it in itself having a strong argument for being the best iteration of Tetris ever. Lumines Remastered then is an HD remake that incorporates the controller rumble into the already consuming experience, while retaining all of the music and features that made the original so good. It often goes on sale for less than $8, and at that price, you're practically stealing a game this good. Give it a chance. I promise you won't regret it. Knowledgeable gamers with galaxy brains will have noted that I didn't mention a particular game of Mizuguchi's in his history, and that's because I was secretly saving for the next recommendation. Indeed, you've fallen for my greatest trick yet. There is no way I couldn't mention Rez Infinite here. The original Rez was an on-rails shooter for the Sega Dreamcast that shared a lot of the same logic that went into Lumines, creating an immense, engaging, captivating gaming experience that married sights, sounds, and engaged in Mizuguchi's long-running attempt to invoke synesthesia in those who play his games. Rez Infinite then, as an HD remake of that game with VR support, takes it to the next level. At least, that's what I've heard. I don't have a VR headset. Oops. But even without it, all these years later, Rez still manages to achieve its goal in my eyes, and the new Area X made for this release is essentially a short sequel that is worth the price of admission, even if you played Rez back in the day. Rez is a borderline esoteric experience, one that'll either click with you and engage your emotions in ways you can't really articulate, or it's a simple, daft game that you'll scratch your head at and wonder how anyone can think it's special. I fall into the former camp. Playing this game in the dark with headphones on and a controller rumbling in my hands in accordance with the action and beat is an experience that I've really only had rivaled by Tetris Effect. If you've never played it, I don't want to talk it up too much or even talk too much about it and taint your perception going in too much. It and Lumines Remastered go on sale fairly frequently together, so grab both and give them a shot. That's the MykonosFan Big Boy suggestion of the week. And because I needed to mention one more Sega release in this video to fill my quota, I have to mention what's probably an even more divisive game than Rez, Shenmue. Specifically the 1 and 2 HD Collection. I can't tell you how weird it was to walk into a Best Buy in 2018 and buy this package, but hey, it came with a poster! True hardcore Shenmue fans will tell you to hunt down the original releases and play them that way, to avoid some of the atmosphere-ruining sound bugs and to experience the original licensed product tie-ins like Coca-Cola. But sometimes you just need the convenience of playing a game on a system you already own and have hooked up. Plus, I personally had to turn my Dreamcast on its side to even get it to read the Shenmue 1 disc, so yeah, just grab this collection if you're going to play them. The games have aged like a durable glass of milk, Aspects of them are just truly hilariously dated.
Do you need a guide?
Are you a lone boy? You need a place to stay?
Need a tour? It'll be cheap.
But there's still something to the experience that I found weirdly captivating. Going around a small Japanese community in the first game and exploring Hong Kong in the second, there's a method to the madness here that has its charms. From meticulously examining each item on the store shelf to watching whatever this is, it has its ways. I personally tend to tune out during the many times the game makes you wait for a certain time of day for something to happen, but this collection is worth checking out on the cheap if you've never experienced Shenmue, just to see what one of gaming's earliest visionaries did when given what was once the biggest budget any game had ever had. Your mileage will vary with this one, but as a historical curiosity, it will, at worst, be very interesting.
Ah, good.
So, those were some of my suggestions for overlooked or entirely forgotten game remasters that have come out recently. Did I miss anything notable, but not too notable? Let me know, and especially let me know if you try any of these games and come back loving them. A good half of these games probably won't be for everyone, but if I can get at least a few new people turned on to a new favorite, then this video was worth it. Thanks for dropping by, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And if you want to hear me talk about more remake/remaster thingies, I recently covered the SpongeBob remake and Catherine Full Body on my channel, which I think is technically a remaster. But until next time, take care. All of these wonderful people keep me able to make these videos, so thanks to all of them, and especially the higher tier patrons like Potato Jello, Goldstorm07, Buckles Chucklow, Jeet, Calico Plus, The Crazy Even, The Legend of Groose, Patrick Thompson, Svendelica, and Wolf Chaos On. If you want your name here in future videos, swing by my Patreon and toss a buck my way. Thanks!